who hadn't worked in over a year, had to get a job at the hardware store. At 64 years old, he was back to working retail, lifting boxes, and dealing with customers. Mom complained to everyone who would listen about how embarrassing it was. Mark was struggling too. He bought some beat-up old Honda that was constantly breaking down. The kids had to quit their soccer teams and piano lessons because Mark and Sarah couldn't afford them anymore. Sarah had to get a part-time job at Target to help make ends meet. The whole family was talking about Mark and Sarah maybe moving in with my parents to save money on rent. 4 kids in that little house with their grandparents? Good luck with that. My cousin Janet called me one day, laughing. "Leslie, you should have seen your mom at the grocery store yesterday. She was complaining to Mrs. Henderson about how ungrateful you are." And Mrs. Henderson just looked at her and said, "Well, Linda, if my daughter had been paying my mortgage for 3 years, I think I'd be pretty grateful." What did Mom say to that? She turned red and walked away. I think word is getting around about what really happened. I felt a little bad about that. I didn't want to humiliate my parents, but I also wasn't going to let them paint me as the villain in this story. A few months later, I ran into Mark at the grocery store. He looked tired, older somehow. His clothes were wrinkled, and he needed a haircut. "Hey," he said awkwardly. "Hey yourself." We stood there for a moment, not sure what to say. Finally, he spoke up. "The kids ask about you sometimes. They don't understand why you don't come around anymore. Maybe you should explain it to them." He looked down at his cart, which was full of generic brands and discount items. "Leslie, I know we messed up. Mom and Dad, they didn't handle it right. But cutting us off completely, that's pretty harsh." I stared at him. "You know what's harsh, Mark? Taking someone's money for years and then telling them they're not worth including in your will, that's harsh." He opened his mouth like he wanted to say something else, but I pushed my cart past him and walked away. I didn't have anything else to say to him.